And we're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Saturday, March 21st. We begin the round of 32 today. Obviously, with this March Madness bracket, we have half the teams remaining. Our entire Final Four is still intact, and our entire Elite Eight is still intact. Well, at least I hope so. I mean, all the high seeds pretty much won. As yesterday, I think for potentially the first time ever, every betting favorite won yesterday on the March Madness schedule. Kind of crazy. We go 3-2 though, so we will take the positive day. We kick the day off with the parlay. Well, the parlay continued throughout the day, obviously, but shout out to both Texas Tech and UCLA. Texas Tech beat Akron, so we get the win there. UCLA beats, it doesn't really beat up, but they find a way to beat UCF and survive late against UCF. We'll take that one. Fins up. The Sharks, unfortunately, did not cover against the Arizona Wildcats. It was a valiant effort, what can I say? Utah State beats Villanova outright. We'll take that one. Miami, ooh, man, what a season, what can I say? And that's why I said yesterday, you know what? It was really good that they went out and won a game in the NCAA tournament. We did not believe that they should have had to play that game, obviously, against Southern Methodist, but it's a damn good thing that they did because now they have something really to fall back on this year. They won an NCAA tournament game. Obviously, Tennessee put belt to ass yesterday. Unfortunately, those shots just were not falling for Miami. Jacoby Gillespie was hitting anything he attempted in that game. Unfortunately, the Red Hawks do not cover 11.5 against the Volunteers. We closed the night, though, with the victory. Miami goes on the road to Missouri to beat the Missouri Tigers. So a 3-2 day for us yesterday. We will absolutely take it as we move on now to the round of 32 today with the NCAA tournament. Again, before we get into the video, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Later today, we're going to have our NBA best bets, so make sure to join us for that. And on Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC Fight Night London full card predictions and best bets are on the channel for Movsar Evloev and Leron Murphy. That card's in a couple hours from when this video is going out. Yesterday, we had a tremendous day with the Professional Fighters League. We went 10-1 on that PFL card yesterday, so make sure to tap into our UFC best bets and predictions already posted, linked in the description down below. I will say this too before we get in the video, there are NIT games today. Why are there NIT games? I have no idea, and the entire rest of the NIT games are tomorrow for the second round of the NIT. There are no college basketball games on Monday. Would you not want to run unopposed on Monday? I don't understand it. I get it, the CBI was supposed to be on Monday, but that's just insane. I don't know what the hell the NIT is thinking. The games aren't even on regular ESPN broadcast. They're on E+. We will go over those at the end of the video, just like how we will go over the remaining NCAA tournament games we don't get to today as well. So make sure to stay tuned towards the end of the video for that post the best bets portion, obviously, of the video, which is the primary focus, obviously, of the video. Okay, on to the first now of our 5 best bets today for this Saturday set of games. We're going to kick things off with the Michigan State Spartans and the Louisville Cardinals from Buffalo, New York. I'm taking Louisville on the points. Now, this is a matchup that we didn't think actually was going to happen initially. I'm not going to hide from the fact that we did get Louisville wrong in the first round of the tournament. I believed Louisville versus UCF was a razor-thin matchup in the first round. I sided with the USF Bulls, and I know Louisville only got by USF ultimately by 4 points. USF started that game really cold. They missed 17 consecutive threes in that game against Louisville. Again, not what they wanted. It was a better second half effort out of the Bulls, but again, ultimately the Cardinals out of the ACC are able to take the win. So initially, again, on my initial bracket, yeah, we did take USF to beat Louisville. Again, we were wrong, but the original second round matchup I had, obviously, was going to be Michigan State versus USF. And originally, we had Michigan State winning that. Obviously, I have Michigan State in my bracket going out next round in the Sweet 16. I think they still beat Louisville today. I think the game's going to be ultra competitive. Legitimately, I believe this is going to be a one-score winner for the Michigan State Spartans. But there is 100% a possibility that Louisville wins the game outright as well. Again, Michigan State probably gets it, but I'm not willing to say Michigan State's going to be able to cover by 4.5 points. That's a lot. It's a lot for a Michigan State team that I'm not blown away with. I'm not blown away with this team at all. Michigan State, I know, looked good in the first round of the tournament. Well, they're playing North Dakota State, and I respect North Dakota State and what they did this year in the Summit League as the NDSU Bison set their single-season school record for most victories. Great for them. Again, though, you're Big Ten top 10 team in the country versus the Summit League champions. Again, I wonder who's going to win. So good on Michigan State for winning that game. Obviously, they had a much easier matchup, we can say, compared obviously to the Louisville Cardinals. Now, Louisville obviously has dealt with injuries. Mikel Brown being that main injury. Mikel Brown did not play their first round game against the USF Bulls. I'm not expecting him to play today. I don't think he's officially been ruled out yet, but everything is pointing to he will be out. I think he's still doubtful. No, okay, they've officially listed him as out. Okay, so as of 4 hours ago, so that's about 10 o'clock my time, Mikel Brown was officially announced out. Again, I was always expecting that. I did not think he was going to be able to play on this first weekend. Sweet 16, if Louisville gets there, obviously with the victory today, we can expect Brown to return. I went into this picking Louisville even with the fact that Mikel Brown wasn't playing, and I'm still going with them here. I'm not, deterred by the fact that their star player isn't playing. I understand it's a big loss. Guys, 4.5 points is a lot of points when you get to a matchup like this, where the teams are so close, where they are so evenly matched. I mean, I'm not going to put too much into this right away, but I will say, according to ESPN's analytics, they have Louisville favored to win the game. Again, that doesn't mean much, and they might still be taking into account that Mikel Brown is playing. I don't know, again, how ESPN completely does their, analytical thing, but regardless, if it means anything, Louisville is projected to win the game according to ESPN's sim model. 51% chance for Louisville to win, 49% chance for the Michigan State Spartans to win. That's not the reason, obviously, why we're taking Louisville. That does not sway my opinion at all, obviously. But 4.5 is just a lot for a Michigan State team that, yes, plays really well defensively, but a Michigan State team that came into the tournament, the NCAA tournament, off of 2 L's. And I get it. They weren't bad L's. Well, the Michigan loss, who cares? It's a good L. That's a good loss. The UCLA game gave up 88 points to a UCLA team without Tyler Bilodeau in the second half. Just don't love it. And I understand we have been constantly throughout the year, we will take Michigan State and they'll find ways to lose and screw us. We'll bet against Michigan State and they'll play the best games they've played all year long. I mean, the Purdue game, the game in Bloomington against Indiana, we've picked against Michigan State and they've always just put it on us. We need Louisville to put an end to this madness today. Early game, kind of, 11:45 over New York. That's, 2:45 out there on the East Coast. I'm taking Louisville because of the way that they can score. Okay, Michigan State, really good defensively. We know how they play. We know, obviously, the game that Fears plays, and we've talked about it at multiple points of the year. Jeremy Fears, and Tom Izzo has said this too, is going to be viewed and is going to be, officiated with a different lens now because of the plays he's made earlier in the season. And you can't deny, again, the guy isn't the cleanest of players. What can I say? He's an extremely talented player. He leads all of college basketball in assists per game at 9.5. I understand the guy is very talented at basketball. Obviously, there's been some moves he's pulled this season which haven't been the cleanest. Again, I'll just leave it at that. But they are a good defensive team. They are going to play with pressure. They are going to get in your face. Jeremy Fears is a nuisance. What I mean by that, obviously, he's a good perimeter defender. It's hard to get things by Fears. He will pick your pocket. He does, he got an active steal game as well. Michigan State is great defensively. It goes beyond Jeremy Fears. It goes to, their bigs, Carson Cooper, Jackson Kohler. We've talked at length about Kerr Tang and what he does to space the court for Michigan State. He's a 38% three-point shooter, but it really feels watching Michigan State games that Kerr Tang hits a lot more than 38%. He's just been that good for this team all year long. And how can I forget about likely the future late first-round pick in Cohen Carr, the most athletic player in college basketball. And the best dunker in college basketball, again, is undoubtedly Carr. That vertical, insane, averages 12 points per game, and obviously is a ferocious finisher when it comes to attacking the rim. Regardless of all this, though, if Louisville can play their game and Louisville can speed this game up and push a pace against Michigan State, it's going to be a troubling night for the Spartans, or day for the Spartans. Again, the game's not at night. But you get my point. It's all about the style. It's all about the matchup. If Louisville plays fast, can we trust Michigan State to keep up? If this is a low-scoring game going into halftime, again, I'll make a comp to, Missouri versus Miami yesterday. That game goes into half, 28-27 in favor of the Hurricanes. And, we were fine. Obviously, unfortunately, Miami of Ohio didn't do it for us, but Miami of Florida did. That's why we're wearing I'm just putting this on for randomness. But regardless, shout out to Miami for winning. But again, that's a low-scoring game going into halftime. If we get a 28-27 score, I don't care who's leading at that point. If the game is 28-27 at halftime, we're probably screwed. Now, maybe, again, you can always say, well, teams just play differently in the second half. Teams will turn it up in the second half, and they'll come out, again, just fired up in the second. Sure. We need this game to be high-scoring, though. We need points to be going all game long. I need Louisville to put up 40 points in the first half, which I understand is difficult against a defense of the caliber of Michigan State. I think Louisville can do it, though. Again, look at the last Look at the last 3 games Michigan State plays in the regular season. Not including, obviously, their tournament game against North Dakota State, a game in which they're expected to win. Carson Cooper dominated. NDSU did not have the big play to match up with Cooper. Cooper had 20 and 10 in that game, again, expectedly for the Spartans. But look at their last 3 regular season games in the Big Ten. They're giving up points. So Rutgers goes into East Lansing and scores 87. I get it. The Spartans are leading for majority of that game. And in the second half, I believe Michigan State never trailed as Rutgers just kept trying to go on their runs to cut into that lead. But if you're giving up 87 total points to Rutgers, I don't know what to say. And that's, again, I'm just saying this from the basis of Michigan State's known for being a great defensive team. I know Rutgers shot the 3-point ball extremely well in that matchup, but I just don't love, again, giving up all those points to Rutgers when you're considering, okay, now you're going to take on Louisville, who's obviously way better offensively than the Scarlet Knights. You look at Michigan State's game prior or after that against Michigan, and again, that's expected. The Wolverines are really good. They do give up 90 total points first half. Michigan puts 42 up on Michigan State. And don't get me wrong, the Spartans kept up. They scored 41 in that first half. And then you look at the UCLA game. Michigan State gives up 88 to UCLA. The Bruins put 44 on them in the first half. Obviously, yesterday, UCLA advanced in the tournament, beating the UCF Knights. We will see UCLA again tomorrow. Again, I don't love what Michigan State's been doing defensively. Again, they're a great defensive team, but recently, I haven't seen it. Louisville can shoot their way into a game and shoot their way to win a game on top of that as well. Again, no Mikal Brown does suck, but you still got Ryan Conwell, who's averaged 19 points per game this season. Javon Hadley's averaging 12. And again, all these guys can shoot. How about Isaac McNeely, right? Conwell is a 34% three-point shooter. Hadley is a 46% three-point shooter. McNeely is a 40% three-point shooter. They can all unleash it from beyond the arc. And yes, no Mikal Brown's going to suck, but I do think Louisville is going to be able to shoot their way into this game and shoot their way into a cover in this game. I am a little concerned about the size, obviously, with, well, hell, Kohler, Cooper, hell, even Carr attacking the basket. I am concerned slightly about that. But I do think Louisville's fast pace and the fact that they are playing much smaller than Michigan State should help them out in this game. I'm going to go Louisville plus 4.5. I do expect Michigan State to win a very razor-thin tight game. It's a lot of adjectives on that, but I'm going to take Louisville to cover the points, 4.5 in Buffalo against the Michigan State Spartans. On to our second best bet of the video. It's in the thumbnail. We haven't gotten a chance in a while to put Duke in the thumbnail, but here it is. As the Texas Christian Horned Frogs go down to South Carolina, or they stay in South Carolina, to take on the Duke Blue Devils. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts about Duke Siena, and I know we went over it a little bit yesterday, obviously, but I found it really interesting that Duke at halftime, oh goodness, was it Isaiah Evans who was being interviewed? Oh, was it Isaiah Evans? I think it was Isaiah. Was it Isaiah Evans or was it Malik? No, it was Malik Brown. It was Malik Brown, who's a forward for Duke, is being interviewed going into the second half, right, with Tracy Wolfson on CBS. And Malik Brown basically says, because they were losing by 11 points at halftime to Siena. He says, yeah, we weren't really fired up for this game. Our energy hasn't been there for this game. We just kind of thought we were going to roll in this game or walk into this game and roll over this team. Huh? That's not good. I hate that. That's the last thing you want to hear. And this is the thing. I don't know why Malik Brown said that, because it's one thing to believe that. And it's one thing to think that. And hell, it's another thing to say it within your own locker room. Saying that on national television that you clearly, and I get it, we're all thinking it. We're all thinking you overlooked them. But to say it outright, yeah, we overlooked this team and we thought we were just going to roll right over them. That's, again, if you said that after the game and you won, say, again, they won by 4 points. You end up winning the game by 6 points, whatever. Fine. Say it after the game. In the middle of the game, I can't believe he said that. And thankfully for Duke, they survived one of the worst scares you could have taken. Not because, again, they almost lost to a 16 seed. That sucks. That's been done before. The fashion in which Duke was going to do it, oh my goodness. And the fact, again, that Brown gave the interview at halftime on national television on CBS, that could have been catastrophic. Duke survives. Again, we talked about it yesterday. There was a moment with about 6 minutes left to go in that game when Doty hit that big three to send the lead back to 5. I legitimately believe the Siena Saints, it looks like a Bulldog. The Siena Saints were going to win the game. Ultimately, Duke takes it by 6 points. They're trailing for majority of that game. I can get the exact percentage in which they were trailing against the Saints yesterday. They were trailing for 79% of the game yesterday, or 2 days ago against Siena. That's horrible. But they find a way to survive, win, and advance. Duke now 33-2 on the season, and ultimately March, even if you're playing against the 16 seed, all you need to do is survive. Now, I will say Duke shot the three-point ball very poorly in that matchup. Cameron Boozer was just okay. I'll tell you that. I can argue he was bad. Kind of sounds crazy, but he was. I mean, Cameron Boozer, 22 points, and when you look at his straight stats, you think, oh, look at the stat line. He was all right. 22 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. That does not look like a bad line on paper, but then when you really dive deep into the game and actually watch the game, yeah, 4 for 11 from the field, 1 for 5 from beyond the arc, 5 turnovers in the game, and, well, how do you get his 22 points? Well, 13 of those points came from the free throw line. And I will say there were a lot of moments in that game where it felt like, really, we're giving him that call? And I get it. Siena, they were tired. I'm not saying that Duke wins the game because of the stripes. No, okay, they were going to win the game regardless. There was a lot of calls, though, in that second half where you felt like they're giving that one to Cameron Boozer. And I know, again, watching Duke all year long, there have been moments throughout the season where we felt that. Like, oh, really? Boozer's getting that call? But with all due respect, and this is the truth, when you are a player of his caliber, when you're going to the NBA at the level that you are and going to be a top 3 pick, yes, you get the respect of the officiating. You get the respect of the call. It's just the truth. I mean, if Siena's center in Riley Mulvey was backing down guys and looking to get to the free throw line, they're not going to give him that call. But because Boozer's on Duke and he's a top 3 pick, sure, he's going to get it. I'm not saying that Duke wins the game because of those calls. It's just that's how the game works. But it's not a good game for Cameron Boozer, and they need to turn it around going into this TCU game. Sure, Duke's still a huge favorite. They are 11.5-point favorites in this game. I'm going TCU here. And we'll see again the health and the status of obviously Duke center in a second here, but I think Texas Christian can cover the points. This is a Texas Christian team where, again, we'll talk about it like we did in the last game with Louisville. I didn't expect TCU to win their first game. I thought Ohio State was going to beat them. I thought Bruce Thornton, like I said with Bennett Sturts, I was like, I think Bruce Thornton's good enough to win you a game in this tournament. He wasn't. And again, a competitive game, but Texas Christian takes it by 2 points over the Ohio State Buckeyes to bust half of the population's bracket with the very first game played. I love how they always put an 8-9 game first because they know America and just the world is split always on that game. So that's one way to get rid of half the brackets right away. They never feed us a 16-1 right away just so everyone can move on to game 2. Well, obviously, I know all the games start at the same time, but you got to kill everyone's hopes right as the day starts. Anyways, Texas Christian played well. I'll give a lot of credit to TCU. I kind of overlooked TCU going into this tournament because I was never impressed by TCU in the regular season. But don't look now, TCU's won a lot of games in a row. They've now won, 7 out their last 8 going into this Duke matchup. And sure, low-scoring game against Ohio State, but ultimately Texas Christian does just enough. They dominate the first half. Ohio State, that second half, is trying to get back in the game. They take a 5 or 7-point lead? They take a 5-point lead with 6 minutes to go after trailing for basically the entire game. Texas Christian comes back. They take the lead, and they don't give it back up. It was tied, and Xavier Edmonds, obviously, the game-winning layup for Texas Christian. It's a good victory, and it's a low-scoring game, and TCU played, well enough defensively, I thought. And the matchup to watch today, undoubtedly, is going to be David Punch versus Cameron Boozer. Is Punch big enough to deal with Boozer? I don't know. Again, David Punch averages 15 points per game for Texas Christian, averaged 7 rebounds per game, and he's been on a roll going into this matchup against the Blue Devils. Going back to the start of the Big 12 tournament against Oklahoma State, Punch had 26 points and 7 rebounds. Against Kansas in an L for the Horned Frogs, Punch had 24 and 10, and then against Ohio State, 16 and 13. Punch is the best player on Texas Christian. He's going to do a lot of their scoring. How will he match up with Boozer? We will see. Because again, Punch has played some good bigs across the Big 12. You've seen nobody, though, like the best big currently in college basketball, obviously, and we're talking about Cameron Boozer. But I think there's a lot of pathways for Texas Christian to be really competitive in this game. Again, I am not sold on Duke after that last game. And also, too, who's Duke blowing out right now? Duke's blowing nobody out. Their last 5 games, they have not covered 11.5. And I understand some of these teams are pretty good. Or last 4 games, Last 4 games, they have not covered 11.5. And I get it. They're playing good teams, but you can't cover 11.5 against Siena. You can't cover 11.5 against, UVA is good, even though, yesterday, UVA against Wright State. That got concerning. UVA is now underdogs tomorrow to take on Tennessee. We will be all over the Cavaliers, thank you. Duke, they did cover 11.5 against Clemson. Did not cover 11.5, though, against Florida State. Again, we'll see. I know Florida State played them really tight, but we've seen teams playing Duke closer and closer as the year has gone on, really just as we've gotten into the conference tournaments. And we're seeing the cracks a little bit. And that's what I said in my initial bracket prediction, and I still believe it. I said, okay, Duke we obviously never even had a discussion about them potentially losing to Siena, because who did? And then we had Duke versus Ohio State. I was like, okay, Duke's going to get by them. And then I said, okay, Duke, Kansas. I think Kansas will play Duke really tight. I think we're going to see the cracks for Duke there. And then UConn's going to get Duke in the Elite Eight. I know UConn struggled against the SoCon champions yesterday in the Furman Paladins, but I think UConn's going to be all right, even though I think there's going to be a population of the country that's going to be taking UCLA in that game. UConn's going to be okay, trust me. Anyways, we've already seen the cracks out of Duke. Shooting, not the best team right now. Defensively, they're all right. I think TCU is going to put it on them. I think TCU is going to remain competitive in this matchup. Don't get me wrong. I'm taking Duke to win the game. I would be shocked if Duke goes out here. But now, again, looking at the Sweet 16, and I think it's going to be Kansas versus Duke. We have a really good game tomorrow between the Johnnies and the Jayhawks, right? Patino versus South. That is a great matchup. I cannot wait. I expect the Jayhawks to get through, though. There's a potential Kansas beats Duke outright. I don't think they will, because I think UConn's going to be that team still, but I would not be surprised, though, if the Jayhawks do get rid of Duke in the Sweet 16. They look very vulnerable right now. Boozer's not playing exceptionally great. They just look really beatable right now. And I think TCU is able to play a competitive enough game tonight. TCU's been playing really competitive basketball as of late. Again, they've won 7 of 8 going into this game. Watch out for David Punch, Xavier Edmonds at the game-winning layup, Micah Robinson, Jaden Pierre. There's some good players in Texas Christian. You got 4 guys who average over 10 points per game and are obviously into the double digits. I like the Horned Frogs here, covering 11.5 points. We're not asking them, obviously, to win the game outright, but getting 11.5 for TCU, I think it's too good, especially considering the way Duke just played against Siena. I think they're going to kind of stay just playing mid-basketball right now, and who knows, maybe they're overlooking TCU for the winner of St. John's and Kansas, because, again, don't take my word for it. Take Malik Brown's word for it at halftime, down 11 points to a 16 seed. Let's go on now to our third best bet of the video. We move now to a matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. We have a theme early in this video. We are looking at underdogs to cover points. I do think these lines are a little too big today. I really think so. Obviously, again, yesterday, we said it earlier, every betting favorite won yesterday. All 16 games, all betting favorites won. I think you see the dogs today have a little more success. I'm not saying straight upsets. Again, we have not picked Louisville to outright beat Michigan State. I did not pick Texas Christian, obviously, to outright beat the Duke Blue Devils. I think Texas is beating Gonzaga outright, though. That's my exception here. I like the Longhorns to outright beat Gonzaga. And it sounds crazy, I know, because I've been so down on Texas for the entire year. Don't get me wrong. Hell, again, I'm not going to hide from when I got picks wrong. I thought Texas was going to lose to North Carolina State, and, well, they almost did. Obviously, Texas pulled off some late-game heroics, but NC State was right there to take that one from Texas and Dayton. Again, ultimately, it does go for the Longhorns, so good for them. Texas then takes on Brigham Young. Again, we were wrong. I thought BYU was going to handle the Longhorns, but Texas was just the all-around better team. Obviously, Brigham Young had the best player on the court in A.J. DeBunsta, but the all-around better team, sure, it was Texas. Now they get Gonzaga. A Gonzaga team that I've been saying from November is extremely overrated. All it took me was a couple WCC games this year to watch Gonzaga, and I really quickly came to the realization this team's just not that good. It's the truth. They're not that great. Now, was I a little ambitious taking Kennesaw State to outright beat Gonzaga? Yes, I was. I still, looking back on it, I don't hate the pick still. Yeah, Kennesaw lost by 9 points. I know Zaga got the lead up to like 15, 16 at one point, but hey, we're always in covering range with the Owls, so hoot. I don't mind the pick still. I thought it was great at the time. I thought for what it was worth and for the value in which we got it at, I thought the money line was fine. Again, we had the spread. We were perfectly fine on the night with that game, but that game's kind of what I thought it was going to be. Gonzaga really struggles to score. They don't have many great three-point shooters. Mario Saint-Supri obviously is the difference maker. He's the exception usually to that. Graham Ike will chuck up those threes, and occasionally they will fall. If you can't give Graham Ike a wide open shot from beyond the arc, because he is going to knock it down, especially when he's at the top of the key. He's not going to miss that three. But I don't love Zaga scoring wise. I need Texas to get out and run today. I know Texas, and well, this is what I would say about the SEC. Nobody plays defense. All these games end up like 85-80. They're like NBA style games because obviously there's just a lack of defense being played. Texas sometimes doesn't do that. Texas, I don't know. The Texas games I've watched this year, little more defense are played in Texas games, which great, good for the Longhorns, but not all their games are pure shootouts. And we've seen that in the tournament so far. And obviously we expect, and this is expected, right, that tournament outcomes and just tournament games in general are going to be played a little bit, at least in competitive matchups. Defense is going to be better. You're going to see, again, teams locking in on some stuff, and you're not going to see just back and forth trading baskets all night long like it's an NBA regular season game, right? But I've been impressed by the way Texas has played so far. Again, I was wrong on my assessment of the Longhorns. And I do believe, I'll say this though, I do believe this region or this side of the West bracket is extremely weak. I just think it is. I think these four teams, obviously these four teams that have all played, what city are they in? They're in Portland. Oh, right, because DeBonsta didn't leave his hotel room. These four teams that all drew Portland in the West region, I've always thought it was really weak, right? Initially, I had BYU coming out of it. I did. I had Kennesaw beating Gonzaga, and I had BYU beating Texas. We were wrong on both these. But that's my point, though. It was an extremely weak pool of four teams. Because to me, Zaga's the worst three seed in the tournament. They're worse than Virginia. They're obviously worse than Illinois. And I don't like Michigan State, but I'd take Michigan State right now to beat Gonzaga. And it's not entirely, the Zags' fault. I mean, the Braden Huff injury obviously has really limited them in what they've been trying to accomplish this season. I don't know when Huff's coming back and if he's coming back, right? The latest report on him was it's, quote, getting better. Is that getting better enough to go play in the Sweet 16? Or are we talking now, no, we need to get to the Final Four to get him back? Because if they're going to try to get to the Final Four, they absolutely need Huff back on the court. Because the Zags are so predictable right now. And yes, it's good enough to beat Kennesaw State, albeit barely, by 9 points. Gonzaga went on a big run to close the first half. Kennesaw was up, Kennesaw was up 5 at one point with like 3 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go in the first half, and Zaga went on an 8-0 run or a 10-0 run to close the half, and it sucked. And obviously Gonzaga never gave up the lead from there, but obviously, again, Kennesaw still covered the point, so again, shout out to the Owls, hoot hoot. Still though, they're very predictable offensively. Ike's great, but teams are able just to collapse everyone, put all your attention in the paint now, and just crowd the paint and stuff the paint because you're not scared about anybody beating you from beyond the arc. Again, we talked about Mario Saint-Superi. Good shooter. Guy goes 1 for 7 against Kennesaw State from beyond the arc. The team goes 3 for 18 as a whole. I mean, that's not good. Davis Fogel is going to provide some shooting off the bench. He goes 1 for 4. Superi goes 1 for 7. That's a problem. Ike goes 0 for 1. They're so dependent on what Ike can do. And it's not just Ike, though. They're very dependent on driving to the hoop. Because 3 of their starters, or 3 of their main rotational players, because Tylen Grant-Foster is not starting anymore, they all do the same thing. Ike obviously can kind of extend the court, but he wants to back you down and he wants to get his little hook shot. Okay, Jalen Worley is going to attack the paint all night long. Tylen Grant-Foster will shoot threes. He's like a 20% three-point shooter, and I'm being generous. Grant-Foster, though, is a tremendous finisher at the rack. He's going to drive and he's going to try to finish over you, and that's what he's really great at. But you're not concerned about Tylen Grant-Foster shooting the three-point ball. And even the guys that Gonzaga, again, that are supposed to be, again, decent three-point shooters, Saint-Superi is their best player, 1 for 7 from beyond the arc against Kennesaw. And I expect that to jump back up, obviously, in this game, as Saint-Superi was a 42% three-point shooter in the regular season. But Davis Fogel, 36%. I mean, Adam Miller is not a great three-point shooter. And again, that's the problem with Zaga. So they're so predictable. And if you're able to get out and have a high-scoring game against them, it's kind of tough for them to keep up. Also, Texas has a big. Matas should be fine against Ike. He's going to have size on Graham Ike in the matchup. I think we're okay. Matas had a phenomenal game against BYU, 23 points and 16 boards. Against NC State, 15 and 8. He's played well. That's your Graham Ike stopper. But that's the thing. If Braden Huff's playing, that's what expands everything for Gonzaga. Because now, okay, it's not just one elite big, it's 2. You got to deal with both these guys in the court at the same time. Huff's not playing tonight. I like Texas here. Dare I say, again, I've said it, I'm taking Texas to win the game outright. Plus 205 for the Longhorns. I apologize. That should be minus 250 on Gonzaga, not minus 200. I screwed that up. Obviously, you're not going to get plus 205 and minus 200. It's my fault. It should be minus 250 for the Zags. I like Texas to win the game outright. Again, we're going to take the points because we're being given the points and we're getting 6.5. I believe that is phenomenal value. So obviously, we're going to look at that. I think Texas is going to win this game outright. I think they can. They are not bad defensively, considering they're an SEC school. They're not bad defensively, and they can score points. How about Dalen Swain? Dalen Swain led this team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals this season. Averaged 17.5, 7.5, and 3.5. Kind of taking a back seat so far in this tournament, I will say. He's been good. Again, Swain has given Texas production. He just hasn't been the focal point in both their games so far, in both the first 4 and the round of 64, because it's Trayvon Mark hitting big shots against NC State and then scoring 19 against Brigham Young. It's obviously Matas with his 23. And Dalen Swain's playing well. He's doing, again, a serviceable job. Against Brigham Young, he plays 37 minutes, scores 14 points on 6 of 12 from the field, 1 for 3 from beyond the arc. But again, he's producing 6 assists as well. You can't ask for much more when you have other players like Matas and Trayvon Mark providing and producing for your team. As for the Zags, again, too predictable in my opinion. I'm not sold at all. We've watched Gonzaga all year long. I mean, we watched them lose to the Portland Pilots. We saw them go to Moraga and lose. They can be dominant, but they play WCC schools all year long, which, again, not their fault. Well, kind of. They're going to the Pac-12, whatever. But there's a reason they always struggle against St. Mary's all year long, and essentially they're the reason why St. Mary's always gets in the tournament every single year, which I like the Gales, I do, but man, they just cannot find any success in March, ever. Still. Zaga, I'm just not sold, man. We took Kennesaw to cover, they did it. I think Texas has enough talent to keep up with Zaga all night long, and I'm telling you, Modest versus Ike, that's going to be difficult. And it's really the deciding factor for me is Mario Saint-Supri. He had a really great game in the WCC Championship game against Santa Clara. We'll see how much of an impact he has tonight. I'm going Texas on the points, but I believe the Longhorns are going to win the game outright. But again, we'll take the 6.5 just to be safe. So give me Texas plus 6.5 in Portland against the Gonzaga Bulldogs. On to our 4th best bet of the video, we go to the future NCAA champions in 2025-2026, the Illinois Fighting Illini. I think they can still do it. Legitimately, okay, so here's the thing. I know it's kind of a rough start against UPenn as Pennsylvania's hitting their shots. Illinois, early in that game, goes on like an 8-0 run to take an 8-point lead. Then immediately, Penn goes on an 8-1 run to cut it to 1, whatever. Illinois played really well. And Illinois puts up 105 points on Pennsylvania in the first round of the tournament. We knew it right away. Easy mismatch. And I said at the time, too, Pennsylvania was not a 14 seed. They should have been probably a 16. But I guarantee you they didn't want to rearrange the bracket after they already made it, and they expected Yale to be in the tournament. But obviously the Quakers pulled off the win against Yale in the Ivy tournament championship game. It turns into the Quakers versus the Fighting Illini, and Illinois takes care of business again, winning the game by 35 points. It was light work. But what I have kept saying all year long about Illinois is finally paying off. Everyone on the court can shoot. They have the best offense in college basketball. And I'm watching the post-game show for Illinois and Pennsylvania, and I forget, was it Kellogg who said it? I don't think it was Clark Kellogg. Is someone on the broadcast on CBS said it. It might have been, was it Kellogg? I think it might have been Clark Kellogg. I think it was. Who says, usually we always say defense wins championships, and that's just a motto in sports all the time. In this case, no, in March, offense really wins championships. And if you're this explosive like Illinois is, they are a really difficult team to beat. They put up 65 points in the second half. In a 20-minute half, they put up 65 points. And I get it, it's UPenn. But ultimately, the way in which Illinois scores, you need to knock down those shots. 15 for 36 from beyond the arc, 37 for 74 from the field, 16 for 21 from the free throw line. How about that three-point shooting? That's why I've always been on Illinois. The game that, again, I've said this before, the game that put me on Illinois officially, and I watched it and I said, you know what? This team's built for March, is when they went to West Lafayette and beat Purdue. And I understand, again, I said this before, going to Mackey and winning, unfortunately, because Purdue hasn't been great, and obviously they're still in the tournament, but they weren't great in the regular season. Shout out to them, they beat Queens. Going into Mackey did not hold the same weight as it used to this year, because a lot of teams were able to walk into Mackey and beat that team. But Illinois does it, and albeit off the backs of a Keaton Wagler 40-plus point game, still, I watched that game and watched the big shots that Tomislav Ivisic hits at the end of the game, despite the fact Wagler was the main player in that game. The big three-point shots that Ivisic hits once they're down in that game. That's the game where I realized, okay, Illinois is built for March. They are built for the clutch moments. And I understand the big shot on this team is that they have blown big leads all year long. You just need a team to get hot in March and stay hot in March. But what they do from beyond the arc against Pennsylvania, and yeah, it's UPenn, I get it, but still, Mirkovic, 4 for 7 from beyond the arc. As a whole, David Mirkovic, 28 minutes, 29 points, 11 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from beyond the arc, 17 rebounds, full line for Mirkovic, 29, 17, and 3. We will absolutely take that. How about Tomislav Ivic? Not a great game, but okay, 12 points, 4 of 7, 1 for 4 from beyond the arc, 7 boards. We'll take it. Keenan Wagler, first NCAA tournament game, 18 points on 7 for 14 from the field, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. Killian Boswell, 13 points, 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, 5 for 9 from the field. Off the bench, Ben Hummerkaus, 12 points, 4 of 9, 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. Absolutely, every shot he hits is from beyond the arc, and the other three-pointer goes to Andreas Stojakovic, who, is now obviously coming off the bench since Boswell's returned. Stojakovic will give you games. I'll just say that. I don't know. He'll have his nights. Still, this is the most dangerous team, I believe, in the tournament because of the way they score. Yeah, they're not great defensively, but I will say this. They get rebounds. And that's always a thing, too. Like, a team can be bad defensively, but it's college basketball. Teams are going to miss shots. Can you limit teams from getting second-chance opportunities? And that's exactly what Illinois does. I mean, the rebounding ability of Ivic, both of them, again, Zvonimir doesn't play as much as Tomislav does, but Tomislav Ivic, Zvonimir Ivic, and David Mirkovic as well. I mean, again, Mirkovic, 17 rebounds against Pennsylvania. And it's not just the ability to end possessions, obviously, for the Quakers. It's also the ability to extend possessions and get second chance opportunities for his own team. As David Mirkovic against UPenn, 9 defensive rebounds, 8 offensive boards. Those second chance points will add up. And at a team in which the volume is where it's at and the effectiveness in which they shoot the three-point ball, oh, that's dangerous because they're able just to create more and more opportunities over and over and over and over and over again. So here they get VCU. We were right on VCU versus UNC. I took VCU to outright beat North Carolina. The best bet was +2.5, but on the bracket, we did expect VCU to win the game. Crazy comeback, phenomenal comeback. And that kind of goes right up Illinois' losing alley of, well, big lead lost, and the team comes back and beats you in the end. They're not giving up a big lead to VCU. With all due respect to the VCU Rams, I love the story. Won the A-10 this year, needed to win the A-10 as it turned out, needed to win the A-10 to officially punch their ticket into the NCAA tournament. I respect these guys. They're not coming back from a big lead or a big deficit, against Illinois. They don't have the offensive firepower to do it. You're able to do it against UNC because UNC, yes, built a lead, but, it's a scrappy game. UNC, they can go cold. And I get it, Illinois has the potential of going cold too, but all it takes to break a cold spell from Illinois is someone's just got to come up and hit a three. UNC, they just didn't have that in that game against VCU. They didn't have a player who could just break the cold spell and end the run for VCU in that second half, late in the second half. And it was dumb mistake after dumb mistake after dumb mistake for the Tar Heels that ultimately cost them the matchup. I mean, we're taking timeouts home with us as well in that game. Again, I didn't care. We had the Rams. I was happy. I was pumped for the comeback. And ultimately, Terrence Hill off the bench, 34 points in 40 minutes. Oh my goodness, 13 for 23 from the field, 7 for 10 from beyond the arc. What a game for Terrence Hill. Averaged 15 points per game this year. Most improved player, if I'm not mistaken, in the A-10 conference. Phenomenal game, obviously leads the Rams in scoring. My problem, again, with VCU is you can't fall behind that much against Illinois and expect to win. They're just not going to win this game. They're going to fall behind early, and Illinois will continue to pile it on. And I get it. VCU, great defensive team. It is a great defensive team in the A-10. It's not like Illinois is playing Virginia, but, I look at Virginia yesterday. Right? State's hitting every big-time shot over UVA. I think we're still okay with UVA, by the way. They match up great against Tennessee, so we'll be on that again tomorrow. I can almost guarantee you one of the 5 best bets tomorrow is going to be UVA money line. Obviously, we've already seen the odds. They come out ahead of time, obviously, with March Madness. But I like Illinois a lot here in this spot. They will be able to put a pace on VCU all game long. VCU shot really well against North Carolina. Again, it was big time 3 after big time 3, and most of those, again, came from Terrence Hill. The team shot 11 for 26 from beyond the arc. Terrence Hill shot 7 for 10 from three-point range. Lazar Djokovic hit a couple threes as well. And again, VCU played a really good game. It's just a whole other monster when you play Illinois. Again, the best offense in college basketball. That is difficult to deal with. What they do to you, the pace in which they play at, the speed in which they play at, and the fact of the matter is, this is a good comp, I think. They are Miami, Ohio on the ultimate steroids. Illinois can get rebounds, and I respect the year out of Miami, Ohio. Phenomenal season. We cheered them all year long. But you know how like Woolfolk isn't really able to consistently hit threes for that team, and he's not the best rebounder. But again, he can stretch the court to the point where, yeah, you have to respect Woolfolk's shot. But again, not the best pure rebounder. Illinois' got two really good rebounders on the court at all times. Regardless if that's Ivisic, or Mirkovic, there's always two guys on the court that can rebound and again either get you second chance opportunities on possessions or end opposing possessions and get you the ball back. On top of that, too, again, yes, Miami, phenomenal offensive team. Illinois' got Keenan Wagler, they got Killian Boswell, they got Mirkovic, you got Ivisic, both of them. You got Hummerkaus off the bench. Jake Davis has mastered the corner three, did not hit one against UPenn, didn't score against UPenn, but I guarantee you Jake Davis is going to hit a corner three in this game tonight. I just don't think an A10 mid-major, if you want to categorize the A10 as a mid-major, they kind of are, basically they are. An A10 team who, again, great defensively, they're not going to have anything on Illinois here. I don't think the game's going to be close. Illinois is going to put a pace in this team. Illinois is going to keep shooting that three-point ball, and I just don't know how VCU responds personally. We've been all over Illinois throughout this tournament. I did not include this in the video, and we'll go over the remaining tournament games at the end of the video. I can easily see a world, by the way, where A&M is going to get Houston. I can see it. I think Houston's going to win. I think A&M's covering. But bring on Houston in the next round. I love it. I don't care. Kingston Flemings is great. Uzon, Sanak. It's a really great team. I get it. They're a very well-coached team. I like the Fighting Illini. I do. I like the Fighting Illini. And feed us the winner of this game in the Elite Eight. As, of course, we're looking at Nebraska versus Vanderbilt. Now, okay. If Nebraska beats Vandy, I don't think I can warrant it. I just can't say it. I can't, with a straight face, tell you, yeah, Nebraska's going to beat Florida. If it's Vandy, though, now we're on to something. And that was my original bracket. We took Vanderbilt, obviously, to beat Nebraska, and then we took them to go to the Sweet 16 and take down the number one seeded Florida Gators, just like they did in Nashville. And I get it, they were at home, but just like they did in Nashville in the SEC tournament in the semifinals. Regardless, Vandy's got to win a game to get to the Florida spot. Again, Florida's going to play Bennett Sturts in Iowa. We expect, obviously, Florida to win that game. But Vandy needs to win one to get to that point, and that's what today is. The 5-seeded Vanderbilt Commodores take on the 4-seeded Nebraska Cornhuskers. It is meaningful when the lower seed is favored to win the basketball game, and that's exactly what we have today. Vandy is minus 120 again as the 5 seed, the lower seed, compared to, of course, the 4 seed in Nebraska at plus 100. I really like Nebraska to lose in this spot. I like Vandy. Guys, Nebraska, I don't know how much I want to really, dig deep into this, but I'll just say it. Nebraska, I believe, came into this tournament with the mindset we need to win one. We need to get off the schneid of never winning a game in the tournament. And I get it. Some of these players ultimately just don't care about that because, some of these guys are on their senior year. They don't care about saving the program. They're looking to win the entire thing, obviously, for their final year of eligibility. But you got to think about it from Hoiberg's perspective, how long he's been here. He's had tournament teams. Hell, again, the Tominaga team a couple years ago. And yes, Nebraska did win the crown last year with Bryce Williams, so I'll give them credit. But still, I really think they came into this tournament trying to come off the schneid and beat Troy. And we got to win one game. We've never won a game in the NCAA tournament in our program and school's history. That sounds like a fake stat, but it was true. They get it done. Troy has an awful game shooting. Nebraska, I'll give them credit, again, plays well defensively in the game. Troy went on a little run early in the game, and I get it. March Madness game's early. You can never, you'll never know. You can never, obviously, say a game's over after 10 minutes, but those first 10 minutes pass, and you're thinking, oh man, Troy might have him here. Because after 10 minutes, Troy's up 15-12. And I get it, extremely early, but you're thinking, okay, Troy's a big team. They can match the size of Nebraska. Maybe. Obviously, the Huskers pull away, and they finally get that first ever NCAA tournament victory. That's off the back of a 23-point performance for Price Sanford. Sanford, obviously the best player on this Nebraska team. You know what Nebraska's going to run all game long for Sanford. High pick and roll, have him come right off that screen, and boom, catch the ball off the screen, pull up Jay. It's what they do all the time with Price Sanford, and he's extremely effective at doing so, and again, he's just a great shooter. Sanford in that game against Troy takes all but one shot from beyond the arc. All of his made field goal attempts, though, against Troy come from that three-point range. 7 for 12 from beyond the arc for Price Sanford against Troy. Had 2 free throws on top of that to give him 23 total points. Nebraska only scores 76 because, well, they hold Troy to 47 points. It was a phenomenal defensive night from the Cornhuskers, and in all fairness, Troy was awful shooting the basketball. They got looks, and well, they just couldn't convert on those looks. On top of that, too, the Trojans did turn the ball over 17 times against Nebraska in the round of 64. This is a much more, obviously, difficult matchup with Vandy. I know Vandy struggled some with McNeese, but as history has shown us, the Cowboys can give really good teams problems in the tournament. It's okay. Vandy struggled a little bit. They ultimately win the game by 10. I will keep saying it. It feels like I'm beating a dead horse. But the difference maker for Vandy is Tyler Nickel. Absolutely. Tyler Tanner's a great player. Duke Miles will score points. Devin McLaughlin is going to score points. Tyler Nickel will really, their season will always hinge on Nickel, in my opinion. Because I know Tyler Tanner is going to get his buckets. Tyler Tanner is a great player. He scored 26 points against McNeese, 7 for 16 from the field, 3 for 8 from beyond the arc. If Tyler Nickel can shoot anywhere near 50%, and I don't care, even a 3 for 8 against McNeese, that's a big deal. If he can shoot anywhere in that range percentage-wise, it changes the way you can approach, or you have to approach, the Commodores. Because Nickel is just that knockdown shooter. He is. The shot is varied sometimes this season, but I'll even take a 3 for 8. I'm hoping we get a 4 for 8 today. At his best, Tyler Nickel can be legitimately the best three-point shooter in college basketball. I know they lost the SEC championship game, or the final, obviously, to Arkansas. Tyler Nickel got the shot falling in that one. 5 for 7 from beyond the arc against the Razorbacks. Prior to that, he was ice cold at the end of the regular season in the SEC, and ultimately once Vandy got into the SEC tournament. But maybe all it takes is one game again in the championship game against the Razorbacks to officially get him going again. Only scored 12 points against McNeese, but I'm telling you, just the threat of a knockdown shooter of Nickel's caliber changes the way teams approach them defensively. And that's the thing. Nebraska has to win a lower scoring game. Vandy, in my opinion, if they're going to win, it's going to be more higher scoring. That's just how, the game script legitimately should play out in this one. Because again, Nebraska shouldn't, on paper, they should not keep up with this team. I don't think they keep up, right? Price Sanford's great. How many other guys are really effective scorers on Nebraska? Yes, you look at the bigs. You look at Rink Mast. You look at Braden Frager, right? Mast, the senior out of Netherlands. Frager, the freshman from Lincoln, Nebraska. I get it. Those guys can get you buckets, but, it's not, Rink Mast is a consistent double-digit scorer, but it's like legitimately, I think 4 of his last 5 games, he's put up exactly 11 points, right? He can score, but it's not a guy that you're obviously going to look at time in and time out, possession after possession after possession. We're feeding the ball to Rink Mast. Yes, he's a 13.5 point scorer per game this year. He's been phenomenal throughout his entire career at Nebraska, which is now, gone 2 seasons prior to that, obviously 3 years at Bradley, but he's been great in college, obviously. You're not relying on Rink Mast to give you big-time buckets. Nor are you doing that with the freshman in Braden Frager. Frager's great, but the guy you're looking at is just Price Sanford. The other guards and Jamarcus Lawrence, Sam Hoiberg, they're good players. They will hit clutch shots, but with the game on the line, you're not looking to Sam Hoiberg. You're not looking to Jamarcus Lawrence. It's all Price Sanford. And the thing, though, with Price Sanford is he's not going to create his own shot. He can, but that's not where he's most effective. It's all coming off that screen. I just feel like they're so predictable and they're very beatable. They're good, do not get me wrong, and it's the best year Nebraska has had maybe ever in program history. Obviously, they started off the year, 21-0? 20-0 before losing in Ann Arbor to Michigan. They had a great year, do not get me wrong, even though they did really stumble, they just stumbled throughout the end of the regular season. I get it. They finally get over the hump of winning a tournament game. Good for them. This is where it comes to an end, guys. Vandy, in my opinion, has too much talent. It is Tyler Tanner, who, again, I will not say Tyler Tanner's the difference maker. He's not the X factor because we know Tanner's, and this is a compliment to Tanner. I know he's that good. I know Tanner's going to get you buckets. He averages 20 points per game. He puts up 26 against McNeese. I know that guy's going to perform. It's just a matter of, does Nickel show up? And then, okay, is McLaughlin going to provide his 12 to 15 points? Is Duke Miles going to give you his 12 to 15 points? How is A.K. Okereke going to play their center? It's a team that doesn't play deep rotation. They're really going to play 6 guys, potentially 7 if they play Jalen Washington. But they're not going to play deep rotation, which I get it. It's a tournament. You're going to shorten your rotation now, obviously. It's expected. It's a basketball thing. But I need Tyler Nickel to hit his shots. And I don't know. I don't trust this Nebraska team. I don't. You can also look at the perspective of, okay, they came into this tournament just trying to get over the hump and finally win one. You can look on Nebraska's Nebraska basketball's Wikipedia page, and there's finally a green in the win column, or just in the NCAA column, obviously, of their history. They finally did it. They came in there, got a victory in the tournament. I think it comes to an end. It's just a bad draw for them. Stylistically, it's a very bad draw. Nebraska does not excel in high-scoring games, for the most part. They've done it before, do not get me wrong. They did go to Urbana-Champaign and beat Illinois early in the season. I understand. But if Vandy's just laying it on him all game long, and those threes are falling from Tyler Nickel and Tyler Tanner, it's just going to be a really long night for the Cornhuskers. I just think the way the game plays out likely favors Vanderbilt for me. I got to go with the Commodores. I'm going to go Vanderbilt, game in OKC. Obviously more of a home game kind of for Nebraska, but obviously, I mean, there are Vandy fans there too. Cheapest ticket for this game, $165. My goodness. I mean, I know you get two games. You get this one, you get Houston A&M too, which obviously is a big game between two Texas schools. I get it. I'm going to go with Vandy here. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt. This is, again, something that we had predicted with our initial bracket. We had Vandy and Nebraska both advancing and getting to the spot. I have Vanderbilt winning here, and then I also have the Commodores going to the Sweet 16, and I have them taking down the Florida Gators too. I just believe enough in the squad. We've seen them take and slay a giant before in Florida in the SEC tournament, and I think they're going to get Nebraska here. I think the shooting is going to play a big difference in this game. And again, I don't want to undersell, by the way, the Vanderbilt defense. When they need to get stops, they can get stops as well. I think they're able to hang all game long with Nebraska, and I believe the talent's better on Vandy. I think the rotation's better for Vandy, and the shooting is better too, with the exception, obviously, of Sanford. If you can stop Sanford coming off of that high pick all game long, you should be fine. Get a hand in his face, force shots out of anybody else other than Price Sanford, and you should be okay. I'm going to go with the Vanderbilt Commodores to pick up the win and advance to the Sweet 16. Vandy wins straight money line against the Cornhuskers at -120. Okay, that will do it for the best bets portion now of the video. We will go over the remaining NCAA tournament games plus the NIT. We'll start with the NIT. We'll end with the NIT because we're already in NCAA tournament mood. We're just gonna close out the rest of the tourney now. So again, that does it for the best bets. Let's now look at every single remaining NCAA tournament game today and the NIT because they have to play on the same day for some reason. It's okay. Does ESPN want to lose money? Just a question. Okay. Let's kick it off. Again, the first game of the day at 9 a.m., St. Louis and Michigan. Shout out to the Billikens. They put up 111, is it? 102. Gave them 9 more points. They put up 102 points on Georgia late on Thursday night. They now have to play an early game against Michigan. Okay, I like the Billikens. Shout out to Robbie Avila and those guys. The run comes to an end here. Michigan is a 12.5-point favorite. It's a lot of points, but I do think they are able to cover that against St. Louis. Again, St. Louis took advantage of beating a bad Georgia team, and I'm not hating on that. Good for them. They won a tournament game as an at-large. Obviously, right, they did not win the A-10 this season, as that was the aforementioned VCU Rams. I think their season comes to an end here. I think Michigan's just too good. The big play, again, we talk about all the time. Yaxel Lindenberg, Morez Johnson, Adai Mara. They are dominant with their big play, and they have got some good guard play too. Hell, Elliot Cadeau's a good player. There's a lot of good guys on Michigan. St. Louis, I just think is overmatched. Do not forget, this team lost to George Mason by 30 points to close the regular season, and they were disappointing in the A-10 tournament too. Their body of work in the regular season got them to the dance in the first place, but now you're taking on Michigan. Yeah, the run comes to an end here. Next up, again, we went over Michigan State, Louisville. We did Duke versus TCU, Houston versus Texas A&M. Like I said earlier, I like A&M on the points, but I think Houston survives. I've been a little more impressed with A&M because of the St. Mary's game, and I don't want to put too much weight into it, obviously, because, well, St. Mary's has never been the best tournament team. They've been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment in the tourney. Every year they're a 7 seed, and they find a way to lose in the first round. We've seen it now 3 years in a row where St. Mary's is completely disappointing after, obviously, always splitting against Gonzaga in the regular season in the WCC. But St. Mary's will be back in the tournament permanently going forward because, well, Gonzaga's leaving, and it'll just become Santa Clara and St. Mary's all year long, something I expect the Gales to probably continue to win. But we're still looking likely at a two-bid WCC going forward. Anyways, I think A&M's able to keep close with Houston. Houston's really good. Don't get me wrong. Kingston Fleming's top 5 player in the sport. I will tell you that. I just think 10.5 is too many. I think it is. Houston's good. I just think 10.5 is too many points. A&M is able to score. I think they're able to stay within that. But I do expect Houston to go on to the Sweet 16 and play those Fighting Illini of Illinois. We went over Zaga, Texas. We went over Illinois, VCU. And we went over Nebraska, Vanderbilt. So again, we go over a majority of the games today. But the other game we did not talk about, Arkansas versus High Point. High Point plus 11.5 actually is great value. It is. I mean, we saw Hawaii kind of hang around Arkansas. Now, again, don't get me wrong. The Razorbacks covered, and we are completely fine with that. Obviously, we had Arkansas. Was it minus 15? It was minus 15, something around that range. Whatever. Great for Arkansas. We were glad we won that. Darius Acuff, phenomenal player. One of the best guards in college basketball. Potentially the best point guard in college basketball? Maybe. High Point, and I've never been the biggest High Point guy because when you actually rely on High Point, they don't ever show up for you, but it's okay. I think they can keep this one within 11.5. Both teams play fast. I wasn't really bought into High Point all year long because we had watched them in non-con play, and I even watched them in the Big South, and I'm like, well, yeah, obviously they're beating up on these bad Big South squads, but they get into the tournament and they win. They get into the tournament, and obviously they beat Wisconsin. I mean, just look at this box score real quick. I mean, we'll go over this thing, and obviously, again, the big headline for High Point is the three-point shot and the deep three-point shots they take, obviously, in that game. But 15 for 40 from beyond the arc, and it is big-time shot after big-time shot down the stretch. Again, you're looking at Rob Martin with the 23 points. You're looking at Cameron Fletcher. You're looking at Chase Johnston. All those guys hit at least 3 3-pointers. I mean, it's a difference maker. Wisconsin, and this is the thing. This is why I like High Point to cover against Arkansas here. They were kind of a carbon copy of sorts of Wisconsin. They're kind of the same here of Arkansas, just not in terms of, lineups, but in terms of how they want to play. High Point averages 89 points per game. Arkansas averages 90 points per game. This is a game in which High Point should be able to keep up. Not telling you they win at plus 500, but 11.5, I think it's too many. I think the Razorbacks advance, but I like High Point on the points. And then we conclude things today with the NIT. There are only 2 games today in the NIT because, again, ESPN and the NIT decided on the great idea just to play the rest of these games tomorrow during the NCAA tournament. Why would you do that? Even today, they're during the NCAA tournament. Whatever, real quickly, we'll go over both the matchups. Liberty versus Nevada. Liberty is a 7.5-point dog against Nevada on the road in Reno. I like Liberty to cover the points. I do. I like the three-point shooting. Almost all their shots are threes. Brett Decker, Caden Matheny. Obviously, watch out for Zach Cleveland. Their playmaking Jokic-esque build, Şengün-esque build, big. Liberty can keep up with Nevada. Yes, I know UNR has been really good in Reno this year. I think Liberty's going to cover. Dare I say they win? No. They just beat George Mason. I need to cool it a little bit. But they did go to Fairfax and cover against GMU, so maybe they could, and they won. Sorry, they went to Fairfax and won and covered. Obviously, we had the points. They have a chance of beating Nevada outright. I will take Liberty on the points, though, in that game, advancing to take on the winner of Seattle U and Auburn. And then obviously the other matchup today, UNCW versus Dayton. Dayton's the high seed, but I guess, look, this is a weird side note. So Dayton can't play Bradley at home because the first 4 is at their arena. So fine, I'm assuming, they're just going to play their next round matchup if they win, which they did. Okay, they're the 2 seed. They're going to play at home again or finally get their home game in the semifinals. But no, Dayton travels to Wilmington, North Carolina to play an away game in the second round due to the OHSAA Boys Basketball State Championships taking place at UD Arena. You couldn't play the state championships anywhere else in the state of Ohio, but I guess, hey, we don't give a damn about the Dayton Flyers. Get out of the building. You're going to have to go to UNCW so the Seahawks somehow get another home game this year. Guys, I think they're going to win. All this travel is going to catch up to Dayton eventually. I know UNCW was unsuccessful at their attempt of winning the CAA. I like the Seahawks here. Give me the points on UNCW. And no, actually, keep the points. Plus 120 for the Seahawks to outright beat Dayton and advance to the regional final, either at Illinois State or in Winston-Salem against Wake Forest. Folks, that'll do it for our 5 best bets for this Saturday slate of college basketball and obviously our tournaments preview. We'll be back tomorrow for more best bets, and the NIT has 6 more games tomorrow, so we'll go over all of those again and more tomorrow on the channel. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.